Welcome to the Side Hustle Dad, the podcast for fathers who are creating financial freedom without sacrificing their families. I'm Brian Steele, and on this show, we're covering the mindset, strategies, and tactics of a profitable side hustle. Let's get to work. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm glad you are joining me here today. One of the things I wanted to touch on is the release day of this podcast. I mean, you've already listened to episode 1 and 2, and it might seem a little odd that my podcast is coming out on a Friday, but it actually makes sense if you think about it, because what is the one time of the week where a dad is most likely to have some agency over his schedule? It's going to be most likely, by and large, the weekend. You're moving away from the 40-hour work week. And I know schedules are different for different people, so it's not universal, of course, but by and large, there's more opportunity there to have some space, have some pockets of time where you're going to be thinking about have some pockets of time where you're thinking about your side hustle. And so even though most podcasts come out on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or Thursday, I said, you know what? I'm going to go for a Friday. It might be a little weird, might throw things off when there's a 3-day weekend, but I think that this is going to be the part that is most beneficial long term. And I kind of joke those first couple episodes, like I'm evolving as I go. I'm cleaning up the lighting a little bit in here to look a little differently. So if you're seeing me on YouTube, thank you for watching. Hit the bell and all of those things when you subscribe. But today is going to be about finding time, the margins. Right? If you want to have a side hustle, which doesn't negatively impact your family, it's got to fit into some spaces. And that can be difficult. And so today we're really going to get tactical and help you find that space to be able to think about your business and conceptualize it. So first, you should have listened to episode 1. You understand clearly why you were doing a podcast. If your conversation with your spouse or partner from episode 2, you've clearly communicated the purpose, and you now have a champion who's like, you know what? Yeah, I think this is something we could support, and she can come alongside you and help you as a dad with that process. So we're going to reclaim the hamster wheel a bit. And that's why I think it comes down to Friday being really valuable to do some reflection, have some space to think about things. So the goal: consume this, listen to this podcast, and then you've got a little space on the weekend to maybe apply some of the things in which we'll talk about. So come back for each and every episode, and we'll continue to build on what we're talking about. So today, time study. You may have tried to do these in the past, but the idea is very simple. You're taking a mirror to what you actually do, not what's on your calendar, what you actually do. And so what I've put together is a Google Sheet, very straightforward, very simple. I'm going to send you a link, but it's broken down into 15-minute blocks for a given week. This is your tool. I know that we're bringing a spouse on board, but we have to be realistic about what is actually happening with our time. We can't be trying to make it look better than it really is. So this is for your eyes only. This is not your wife. This is not your boss. I don't look at this. I don't care to look at this. This is your tool to really carefully examine your given week and know what you're doing. So we've got to be honest. And part of that is being 100% honest about your phone. And part of that is being 100% honest about your phone usage, your doom scrolling, your social media, zoning out after work, right? Those things happen, right? We have the nothing box, right? Men have the nothing box. What are you thinking about? Nothing. We really aren't thinking about anything. It is a nothing box. And we want to capture as much of that as possible, as realistically as possible. So, be honest. That's what we're wanting to get. Okay? No guilt, This isn't about feeling bad, like because you used your phone X hours of the week or X hours of the day. I want you to let that go. That guilt serves us no purpose, doesn't help us at all. And so we're going to push past that. Okay. This is a tool to help us take action. So we're going to treat it honestly. And this is a breakout, right? We're breaking out of our perceived safety and comfort of just doing things the way we've always done them because it was good enough. Good enough is not cutting it anymore. We're moving forward, okay? You've got way more potential than to just sit on the couch and doom scroll, okay? So, the first step, in the show notes, there's a link to this spreadsheet. It's one that is just viewable to anyone who has the link, so you will want to make a copy of it, okay? So you're not going to be able to edit it. You're going to make a copy of it. And then how you're going to use this is you are going to look at it throughout the day. I would recommend pulling it up at lunch and at the end of the day and filling it out. Maybe filling it out as you go. Like if you recognize or pay attention to, oh, hey, I'm doing this now, like use it. Have it open throughout the day. Maybe you're using it on your phone. Maybe you've got it just open on a tab so that you can just jump back to it really quickly. But your goal is to log 15-minute blocks of activity for a 2-week period. Now, why do I want to do 2 weeks? Because every week is different. Your daughter has a music program. I say that because my daughter literally has a music program tonight that I'm going to be going to. And I'm sure my wife is going to come down and tell me it's time for dinner at some point soon. But weeks are never the same. Weeks change. There's little shifts. And so the idea of 2 weeks is to really maybe have something to normalize, right? There's a little bit of balancing it. But we want to, as much as possible, try to get a typical week. Avoid a week that has a holiday in the middle of it, a 4th of July, if you're taking a vacation. Obviously, tracking what you do during that trip is completely abnormal and random. Doesn't really give us something repeatable to base things on. Okay, so the first step, we're going to log everything specifically in 15-minute blocks. Now, if you work on something for 2 hours, log it and when you started and then log it at the time you finish, right? We don't need to every 15 minutes go back in and type the same thing. You should be able to figure it out from that. And then use specific categories. So there's fixed things you cannot change completely, things like job that you go to during the week, your sleep, which you should still get, your family time. So reading the kids' bedtime stories, giving them a bath, going to soccer games, all that stuff is there, but that's family time. We want to note that. And then there's your fluid time. How much Netflix binging are you doing? How much time on your phone? Your hobbies that you work on? Now, we're just logging it. I'm not saying we're going to change anything based on this spreadsheet yet. Your goal is just to log it. Okay? Capture it. And then as you look at it, as the week progresses, you're going to start noticing, even as you fill it out, you're going to start identifying these little margins. This gap between the bedtime chaos and when you go to bed. Okay? You're going to track things like your lunch breaks. How long are you spending on lunch every day? Okay? What might be able to be repurposed there? When you're commuting, what's going on there? Is that a time where you could make phone calls? Okay? So there's going to be some things that start to emerge as you go through this, as you fill it out. And we also want to make sure we capture the weekend. So this is not just Monday through Friday. We want to get to the weekend. Are you capturing things that are the best use of your time? Mowing the grass, fixing things around the house. Now, those things likely have to happen, but we want to capture those periods as well, because oftentimes we get into some routines around that. Okay, so that's goal number 1. 2 weeks, capture each activity down to a 15-minute block of time. Okay? The goal at the end of this is just to look around and go, where are my first 5? And the first 5 are this. The 5 hours a week that you could carve out to work on your business. The 5 hours a week to work on your side hustle. That's enough. It's a significant portion of time, but it's not so much that it's all encompassing, right? Every waking hour. So you might be looking at what happens if I get up 30 minutes early? Am I already sleeping in long on the weekend? Do I start slow on the weekend because I'm trying to catch up on my sleep? Start to notice those patterns. You know, what's happening in the space between when the time the kids go to bed and when I go to bed? How long does it take me to go to bed? How long am I getting ready? So just notice those things. Where are you spending those times? What opportunities do you have? And you want to identify those first 5. Okay? And you want to communicate that to your spouse, right? We talked earlier, you've got a partner, you say, hey, I did this study. I spent some time looking through the schedule, just trying to figure out where I've got a little margin to start working on this business, and then communicate that. When I first started doing my recording studio business, I was doing music production. And so I said, okay, well, where's my space? So the first thing I committed to is I'm going to get up an hour earlier each day. That's going to give me some time in the studio. No one else is up. No one else is getting ready for school. It's my space. So I could do a little work in the mornings. And then I communicated I'd like 2 evenings a week after the kids go to bed to work in the studio on music. And so that, as I recall, I think that was Mondays and Thursdays. So I didn't want to give up Friday night. Mondays were, felt like a good day anyways to do. So it was Monday and Friday. Sorry. It was Monday and Thursday evening. 2 hours. There were about 2 hours at the time between when the kids went to bed and when I was going to bed. So that gave me really a good chunk of time. I was able to carve out nearly 8 or 9 hours a week just doing that. So look for those opportunities, look for those little spaces, communicate what you're wanting to do there so that it's understood. Okay? And then you're able to move forward. That now is going to become your time to take action. Okay, now that you've identified those spots in your schedule, you can say, okay, here's where I want to do this. I want to do a business plan. I want to do some research into different industries I could go to. Listen to this podcast. Maybe you want to go back and listen to one of the episodes of this podcast or something that we'll be talking about in the future. And you want to, instead of just listening to it in your car, you go, I want to take some notes on that. I want to write as I reflect on that. So maybe you take your business time. You say, okay, I'm going to listen to this podcast. I'm going to take some notes and then maybe spend 20, 30 minutes writing my own thoughts, coming up with a plan, coming up with the next step. And so that's where we're going to use the space for building this business, for understanding the next step and the next step after that. And now you're not just thinking. It's not just an idea. You now have the space to do something. And I think that's what's so important, is making sure you're not just listening, right? You're taking action. You're taking small steps. We're not trying to get there all the way at the end, right away, full stop. We're going to take small steps to build something that is sustainable. So take those steps. So your challenge, start by downloading the spreadsheet and fill out 2 weeks worth of what you spend your time doing. That's the goal. And then you're going to be able to analyze that and come up with a plan around where your margin is, where you can create margin to work on this business. This is what I did. This is literally what I did when I was starting my side hustle, and over that time period made $200,000. And it was not big at first, right? It was a couple $100s a month. It started small. Boy, what would it be like if you had just a couple $100 extra to put into a college fund, or to go towards a vacation, or to pay off some debt? It doesn't take a lot to start building some momentum towards this. So think about that carefully. Take this step, move forward. I'm excited for you. this is really the first specific tactical thing that you're going to start seeing the opportunity. And so as you do, make sure you just find that sustainable model that you can follow. Thanks so much. As always, be sure to help us out. Tell others about this podcast. We're brand new. Leave a review, all of those good things. And I'll see you very soon. Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the show, there's 3 ways you can help us out. First, subscribe on whatever podcast app you're using. That makes sure you never miss another episode. Second, leave us a review so that other people know this is a show worth listening to. And finally, if you've already done those, tell a friend. So many people find their favorite podcast because somebody told them about it. Thanks again, and remember, build the side hustle, but be the dad.
This show is part of the ICT Podcast Network. For more information, visit ictpod.net.